It's a total, absolutely upside down priorities. And I mean, I only recently got out of the National Guard, and I can tell you, as someone who was involved in those training, the obsession of commands and command groups was compliance with the latest politically correct policy coming out of the Pentagon. I mean, the Pentagon has been infected with wokeism the same way so many other of our institutions have. And frankly, it started mostly under Obama, who chose certain generals based on their political points of view, not based on their pedigree for killing the enemy, but based on their willingness to comply with new priorities there, whether it was women in combat priorities, whether it was other gender priorities, whether it was transgender priorities. It became, we have to take this one element of our society, the meritocracy, hierarchy of toxic masculinity, and that can't be. We can't allow that to be what it is. If anything, it turns everyone more back into individuals. And here's my individual priorities, my individual political perspective. It's the opposite of what I experienced as a platoon leader in the infantry, which is we're all from different backgrounds. We all have different skin colors. Some of us are rich, some of us are poor, but it doesn't matter. We're serving the country together. That's the point of the kind of ethos you want to create in the military, and by doing things like this, you're just driving wedges. Understanding history, understanding your enemy is a really important thing to do. Telling your troops to read about how bad their country is or how racist they are because of the color of their skin has nothing to do with making them more effective at their job. The defense, some of it has to do with the fact that the military's taken on this view that it needs to change societies. The whole nation-building view of what the military does, which came to an inglorious end in Afghanistan and Iraq, because you can't change entire cultures with Americans in camouflage. You can do a lot of great things, kill a lot of bad guys, but you're not going to change human nature. And I think our society has plenty of problems. Our history has plenty of sins in its past, and we know that. But if we're teaching young kids that are coming into the military that they're the problem because of the color of their skin, you're not making our military more effective at what it does. So totally misplaced priorities from a political general who wants to be liked in the polite crowd amongst the political class. And the cool thing to do right now is to go woke, is to read those, white fragility and contemplate whether he got there because he's black or he's white. Enforcing that, guess what's been illegal in the military for decades and decades? Racism. You can't be a racist in the US military. And when we had incidents of that, very, very few by the way, we addressed it, because it's not okay and it's not acceptable. But as a platoon leader or a company commander, if I'm sitting down and looking out at my company and looking at my black soldiers and saying, well, you're inherently victimized and held down because of America, and I look at my white soldiers and I say, well, you're all oppressors, kids from the backwoods of Texas. It doesn't make sense to them because it's not true, and B, it does nothing for unit morale and cohesion. A guy like Milley should know that, but a lot of guys at the top were not part of those combat battalions or brigades in Iraq and Afghanistan more recently. They went to a lot of the woke. The military has a long relationship with graduate schools, Harvard Kennedy School, business school, Ivy League schools. And so a lot of our generals who are seen as the future go to those schools, and what's in those schools? The same philosophies you read about in White Fragility or How to Be an Anti-Racist. And so they take that stuff into the military. None of it's good for the looming threats we have in this world, which are out there and are real, and we better be prepared for them. I am concerned about the future of the U.S. military. I will say, as a father, the one thing I always felt and the one thing I always said was, I hope my kids, or some of my kids, all of my kids, make the decision to raise their right hand and serve their country. I would love for them to do that. I would love for them to go to West Point. That would be it'd be such a proud moment for me. For the first time ever, I've second-guessed that. Like, do I really want them to do that? Do I really think they're entering an institution that reflects the American values the way we should? I don't know. And I don't say that lightly. I really, really don't. I still think I want them to go serve. I skip West Point, go enlist. That's fine. It's the greatest education I ever received in life, was seeing serving with other men and women who love the country, seeing the way other people live, having the pride and the honor of knowing you're doing what you can to defend your country. But the trajectory it's on right now won't lead to them being more prepared to fight and kill the enemy. China, Russia, they're laughing at what we're doing to ourselves and what it will say about our ability to muster national will should we need to in the future. I mean, look at what we did after 9/11, mobilizing our country. Forget, how it ended and all of that. There was a pride and an investment and a warrior class. Will we have that when we need it in the future? And if you don't believe in yourself, it's really hard to go on the offense and be aggressive to defeat another enemy. Why would I fight to defeat communism or when we're just a really racist country that was actually founded in 1619 and is evil in and of itself? So I want to be optimistic. I would say right now I'm teetering quite a bit though.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.